Okay, just make sure the sound levels are good. Looking okay. And double check the flight plans. We're going to copy it into Navigraph as well, just to make sure. So unload Navigraph, new flight. So 2023 0218 MD-82. It's an IFR flight. We're probably going to be flying at 36,000 feet. That's a good point actually. Let's have a look at this. Will it work it out? Yeah, that's fine. So flying from KDTW. Actually, we could cheat, can't we? So rather than bother with filling all of the details in, let's go and write it by hand into the text string in the top of Navigraph. So actually, let's do this in Notepad, so anybody that's watching this that has never done this before gets to see an idea of how this is done. So we open Notepad. I'll make the font bigger by using Control+ a few times. So KDTW / runway 21L, and then we're doing the KZLOV1 departure. So I'm basically reading down this list from Little Nav Map where I've sketched out a route. Then we're going direct to BSV, then direct. So the last waypoint of the standard instrument departure needs to be in this list. Direct to BSV, direct from BSV to air, direct to MGW, direct to the first waypoint of the standard instrument approach, so BUBBI. Then we're doing the anti-HM3 approach into KBWI runway 10. So that should program the whole lot into Navigraph in one go. So we put the cursor at the top, press enter, and see what it makes of it. And there it is. So it's suggesting an alternate route. Interesting. So it's got a slightly different take on the approach route than we have. It's going using MGW as a starting point. So we can remove MGW and Bubby. Okay, so let's do that up here. So in the case of this, it hasn't got that. It's got air as the beginning of the standard approach route. So let's try it and see what it looks like. Except it's not air, is it? Where has it started it from? NUSMM. Okay, there's a new waypoint in there that we haven't got. I wonder if that's going to be inside the aeroplane now. Oh, this is going to be a good shout. I wonder if the aeroplane's going to have the full approach, because I haven't updated it on Navigraph yet. So let's try it. That might be newer than the aeroplane has. So that's going to be NUSMM instead of air. And now that's, yeah, so it's gone solid, look. Okay, we'll see what happens. So if we correct Little Nav Map to do the same trick, so instead of air, we delete those legs, and we go and look in, and there's NSUMM. So that's kind of what we've got, because that is all part of the approach as far as Navigraph is concerned, but not as far as Little Navmap's concerned, which is interesting. Where did I get the livery from for the Mad Dog? It comes with it. So if you run the what's it called? The MD, the load manager, isn't it? LM. I can't remember what it's called now. Leonardo. If I go and run C drive, it puts them in the documents folder, doesn't it? This is the only thing that really annoys me about what Leonardo have done. They put a folder in your document folder, and there's like a gigabyte of stuff, so that's a huge chunk of your OneDrive gone instantly. So I've actually ended up disabling OneDrive because so many programs have ended up doing similar tricks, and it's just really annoying. You should not be putting binaries and data files in for software in the document folder, because so many people use OneDrive and it just clogs it up, and then you've got no room for any of your own files unless you go and buy gigabytes of data from Microsoft. Anyway, I'll stop ranting now. Yeah, you've got the load manager application, which in there's a liveries manager, and you can pull in the, I've just pulled in the Scandinavian one to make a bit of a change. Exit that, exit that. Anyway, here we are in the Mad Dog. We'll get rid of that now. Okay, so I'm not going to be looking at the live stream chat for a few minutes while I get the airplane ready, because I need to follow a checklist which is on a laptop, or on the same laptop in a different tab. So Control 6 takes us overhead in the Mad Dog, and we need to go and turn batteries to on. I have to remember how to do it now. There's the battery switch there, and then we lock it into position so it can't be knocked out of place. And then we go to the engine section and we put the start pumps to on, ready for the APU in a moment. So APU section, master to start, then back to run. So that's over. Here's the APU, here's the master switch in the middle. So that goes to start, hold it there for a few seconds, back to run. And we will see in a few moments the APU begin to spool up, and there it goes. So while that's doing that, no, we have to wait basically, so we're not using external power, so we'll just wait for that. If we go and look outside while we're waiting, you'll see that hot air will start pouring out of these vents. Or hopefully it will. That'll be the sign that the auxiliary power unit is coming online. I'm swigging coffee while we're doing this, by the way. So if we go and have a look inside, the APU power is now available, so we can cross-feed over to use it, and the aeroplane lights up and comes alive and starts booting systems up and warning us about all sorts of things. Okay, so now we go and program the flight plan. So we can press Control and 2 to come straight down to the FMC. We have to wait for it, so you'll notice things coming online slowly around the aeroplane as they boot up, because this aeroplane is extremely realistic and things don't happen immediately. There we go. We can see we now have the power to the flight management computer. So position initialization, pick up the GPS position, drop it into the FMC reference position. So where are we flying from? We're flying from KDTW. So KDTW. Put that into reference airport. Then we go and program our route. So obviously the origin is already in there, and we're going to KBWI. KBWI. I. We can specify the runway we are leaving on, which is 21 left. And now we can put our route in through the waypoints. So we're going from Win NZ is the end of our star. Let's just check that against Navigraph. Does that agree with it? Yes, it does. So Win NZ is the beginning of our routing. And then we're going direct from Win NZ to a BSV, which is a VOR. BSV. And it's giving the choice of two of them. So to figure that out, the quick way is to go and just show information on it in Little Nav Map. And it's, you can see where's the coordinates? 40 degrees 44. So 40, 44, there we go. So it's that one. And after BSV, we head down to NUSMM, which was the beginning of the standard approach route. So we go next page and NUSMM and put that in again as a direct to, and it's done it. So then we can activate that route, and we won't worry about departure and arrival just yet. We're going to do the performance data. So cruise altitude, we're going to be flying at flight level 360 or 36,000 feet. Fuel, how much fuel have we got in the aeroplane? We can see we've got 7 tons, which will be enough. So 7/N goes in there. And then the 0 fuel weight, which we can also get from over here. So 58 minus 7 is 51. Or this doesn't have to be super accurate, but so reserves are 1. Cost index we'll put in 100. Whoops, clear that. 100. And then transition altitude, we're in the US, so it's 18,000 feet, which is correct. We can put the takeoff parameters in now. So I want some V speeds. So to calculate that, it doesn't do it in the FMC on the Mad Dog, so we need to go and turn the tablet on and put in some data about the departure. So where were we taking off from again? KDTW. So KDTW. Enter. Runway we are taking off from was 21 left. There we go. The wind on the airfield, which we can find out really quickly from Little Nav Map, was 227 at 18 knots. So go in here, 227/18. Enter. QNH of the airfield. So if we go show information on Detroit Metro, 1022 hectopascals. So QNH is 1022. Enter. Takeoff weight was 58,000, wasn't it? Or thereabouts. Enter. So then we can calculate, and this would give us our numbers. 137, 142, 151. Okay, we'll leave that on the screen. So press Control 2. 137, 142, 151. And that gives us our rotate speeds. Okay, so then we can go and finish putting in the rest of the data. So just thinking out loud, you need to go to the departure arrival screen. So if we go next page, we will see that 21 left has already been chosen as the departure runway. The name of the standard instrument departure is KZLOV1. So go previous page, KZLOV1. Ooh, is it not there? I was scared this would happen. So, this is going to be really annoying, isn't it? So what have we got? We might have to change the route then. Let's see what we've got on the list that matches the aeroplane. So I have not updated the aeroplane for Navigraph. That's the problem that's happening here. So it's got the old database, the old AirRack. So we're taking off 27 left. What are the other standard instrument departures? There's another one here, KZ Lov. Previous page, Kalin 2. No, let's go in the opposite direction. Let's go in the opposite direction directly. That's bizarre. How strange. What's going on here? KZ Lov is the one we had chosen, which is appearing there. But that isn't drawn the same as the route we've got. Ah, that's because... Am I losing my mind? Why is it not superimposing it with the other one? Or have I got the wrong number on the runway? 22 left. 22 left. That's there. We'll just use one of these. It'll make for an interesting flight plan, won't it? Is Barry 2 in the aeroplane? Yes, it is. Okay, so next page. We'll go 22 left. And Barry 2 on the SIDS. And have done with it. And it ends up at Sinker. So... insert that into the flight plan. And we'll leave the rest as is. Maybe we'll add one more waypoint on the way, but no, we'll just leave it. It's fine. It's going to be a bit of a bizarre flight plan, I'm afraid. So we'll change this in here from Kalov to Barry 2. We're going the Sinker transition, aren't we? Oh, no, we're not. This is... isn't it bizarre how Little Navmap is so different from it? So we want the Win and Z. They both process the same route very differently than each other. We'll remove that. So that's going across to BSV now. But it's not ending at Lima. It's going to the Bari. It's because we chose a transition, isn't it? Let's go and change it again. So Bari 2. Get this out of the way. I think we're finding bugs in Navigraph, you know. It really doesn't like it, does it? Anyway, let's go and program it in. Route. We've done the performance, so we can go back to departure arrivals. We're doing the bar E2. Did I put the correct runway in? 22 left, yes. So go back to the departure arrivals, execute. This is interesting, look, it's not letting me now get to the arrivals page. What on earth is going... Oh, there it is, index, sorry. I'm being an idiot. Okay, so this is what happens when you try to use 3 different things and they don't all match up with each other. We're going to go on the Anthem 3 star into runway 10. So ILS for runway 10. And then the Anthem 3. So that's all nice and easy to predict. Okay, so after all of that, our flight plan should be done, and we'll just keep an eye on it on the route. We are now going to go and look at the master control panel and go and set our climb out speed to 220 knots. We'll set our target climb straight for our cruise altitude, because we'll probably use VNAV on the way out. Shouldn't be any problems with that. Oh, before we go any further, let's go and have a look at the legs page. There'll be some discontinuities, obviously. So next page, yeah, there's one there, look. We don't actually want WinEnzo, do we, anymore? We want to go straight to BSV, so let's get rid of that. We'll put Bubby in there, and that's fine, and execute that, and that should all be good. Just go next page, just to make sure there aren't any other missing bits. No, it's all looking good from then on. Okay. What have we forgotten? Let's just have a look at the flight directors. Would be an idea, wouldn't they? So we're going to turn those on now. Anti-collision lights go to on. So control 1. Anti-collision lights go to on. Hydraulic pumps are down here. Airspeed indicator, we go and click on the markers there to put the rotate speeds in place. We have to go and uncage the standby attitude indicator, which is here. So we pull it once and we pull it a second time and it levels itself out. Then we go to Control 5, we go and set up the traffic collision avoidance system, turn it on. We also pull back further and we move the pneumatic crossfeed valves to open. Then we go Control 4 on the keyboard, adjust the flaps. So this is kind of a mechanical calculator. I mentioned this earlier today. So it works out where to set your trim level. So we are going to say we're going to use flaps 11. Okay, and we'll move the flaps to 11. We can find out the centre of gravity from the tablet. So if we go to the weights and balance section of the tablet, centre of gravity on the takeoff weight is 12.3. So if we go back down here and look at this, so CG is closer to 12 than 13, it's about there. So if you'll notice when you move these around, this green marker is moving. So what that is a guide. So this is the actual trim level of the elevators. So then this is a guide, so that should be there. So we pull the handle down to move it, and the airplane starts barking at us, which is what the Mad Dog does. And that's why it's called the Mad Dog, because it barks when it trims. Okay, so that mechanical calculator, yeah, just gives you the trim setting. It's quite neat, isn't it? What next? Control 6, go and turn on the fuel pumps. So all of the pumps go on. APU section, APU air goes to on. So there's the APU air, so that's the, you can see the little dial down here for the pneumatic pressure. It just whizzed up past 4, which is good, which means we will have enough pressure to spin the engines up. No smoking sign goes to on, which it already was. Seat belts goes to on, we tell people to sit down there. Emergency lights go to armed, which is above. And then on the co-pilot side, we set the strobe to POS, which lights up the lights outside. So we're ready for pushback at this point. We're not actually going to need pushback, are we? We're not near a gate or anything. Although I guess we've got these vehicles in the way, but we can plough through them, I guess. If we were going to do pushback, we could do just Shift P at this point and ask the tractor to push us back. So obviously you don't start the engines until pushback is going on. Hello, someone's hovering alongside us with a helicopter that's not been substituted correctly. So to release the parking brake, you push this plunger in, and then the truck will be able to move us. Another swig of coffee coming up. Okay, so while that's happening, we'll go and get the ignition system ready to rock and roll. So here we go and set this to both. We move the start switch to right down, and then we look down here and you should see the N2 number for the engine climbing, and you can see while we're being pushed back that's happening. And we'll press Shift P to stop that pushback, and we'll put the parking brake back on for the moment and advance the start lever for engine number 2. Exhaust gas temperature raises, N1 starts to come up, the truck's getting out of the way. We'll see a flash in all of the instruments in a moment as the crossfeed happens over to the engine rather than the APU. There it goes. So we're just waiting for the numbers to stabilize, and then we'll start engine number 1. So starter can go off and we can shield that one. Starter can come on for engine. Oh, you have to roll the mouse on it, not just click on it. Roll the mouse wheel on it, I should say. So the N2 number is coming up for engine number 1. Wait for it to get to 20. And advance the starter for engine number 1. And wait for it to come up. I'll have a quick look at the live stream comments. So Black Star said I was clicking 27 but my departure was 21. Let's go and have another look at that just briefly. So if I go to departures, actually before we do that, that's just said that the engine started, so we can close the lid on that, turn this back to off. I'll just fix this first and then we'll have a look at the route again. So APU air goes to off, and the master for the APU goes to off. Now we don't need the auxiliary power unit anymore, and this can come off bus. Okay, we were going to have a quick look at this, weren't we? So if I go to departures again, let's have a look. Next page, 22 left. So what was the original plan? 22 left, and it wasn't Barry 2, was it? It was KZ Lov 1 was our preferred route. but it's not listed, I don't think. No, because I haven't updated the database, so I'm going to leave it alone. So it was just completely missing. Anyway, where have we got to? So Alexander is saying, if you click beside the FMC, a card with all of the V-speeds will pop up. Yeah, I've seen this. It's down here, isn't it? Somewhere. There's a metal panel you have to click on. There it goes. Yep, there you go. Do those change automatically then? In accordance to the runway you've chosen? I guess it must. It's good, isn't it? I'd forgotten all about that. I knew back when this came out because I did the run up on it, but anyway, it's a really good tip. So start pump is off, ignition is off, bus transfers have been switched off, APU section air is off, master is off, pitot to captain. So control 6 on the ice protect section. This has to go to captain. Air conditioning supplies go to auto, so that's these two switches here. So we just click them both down. And we are essentially ready to taxi at this point. So we can go and press the button and we'll have positive thrust. You can see the airplane's already moving. So we are going to steer left. I'm just going to open the engine slightly to assist us in moving. And let's have a look at where we're going to get to 22 left. So we go straight line across here, along hotel, and then onto the, that hasn't got a letter, has it? Oh, the Yankee, I guess that is, yeah. Along hotel and then onto Yankee. So we're heading over here. Okay, so we haven't got much to do until we get to the runway now. So engines are on idle, we're just using that positive thrust to push us along. So we go over onto Yankee and taxi down to the end of 22 left. Probably don't need the whole runway, do we? It's quite a long runway. So we should go for an intersection takeoff at the next one. Okay, just straighten up. Just going to have a quick look at the list. So the position lights just need to go to strobe. Overhead we can go and turn on the landing lights. Oh, they're over here, aren't they, on the MD-82? I can never remember these things. We can go and turn the nose light on as well, just for the takeoff run. And we should be good to go. Okay, so ease the engines forwards. Oh, we should have put this into takeoff mode, by the way, on the engine management system.
V1. Rotate.
So just rotating. And we are airborne. And gear up.
Positive rate.
And trimming.
Gear up. Lights out. Flaps 0.
Yeah, it's just warning us about our speed. Wind shear. Ooh, awesome. Okay, so we're increasing in speed, so auto throttle can come on. And we can engage the autopilot. Actually, should we get the yoke out of the way so we can actually see the route here that we're following. So autopilot can come on. Whoa! The reason for that is because I didn't...
Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate.
Look what it's doing.
Sync rate. Sync rate. Sync rate.
That's bizarre. I remember looking at this for quite some time when the MD-82 first came out, and I fixed it. There isn't a flaps over speed, by the way, because the flaps are up, but the leading edge slats are still out, which is what it would have been complaining about. I've seen it do this before, and I solved it, and I can't remember for the life of me how we solved it. So it's saying ATS is off at the moment. The reason for that is because we oversped. There we go. Everything is fixed. So it should be accelerating now. You can see the throttles coming forwards to get us back to 50 knots. I've seen that happen before with it dumping the nose when you engage the autopilot. And I can't remember how I solved it for the life of me. So this can go to climb profile now. And now it's not letting me click on things.
Climb thrust set.
So yeah, look at that. Look what the throttles are doing. It's doing differential thrust on the engines. That's interesting. It's still doing it. It's almost like it doesn't like where I've left the throttle levers. So whether that is a bug is a good question. We didn't put it onto VNAV mode, by the way, so it's not obeying the climb out, although it's below 7,000 is the only real limit, so it is up to us, really. Although, I know we did put VNAV on, so it is doing it. It's just climbing at 1,500 feet a minute, following the VNAV climb profile. But it's not, it's just doing a heading hold. It's not following the nav, because obviously we had that issue on Takeoff. So this would be interesting to see what happens. So let's go straight for huts as the new waypoint. Execute. And let's see if it steers for it. Yes, it does. So obviously, because we were out of step with the legs, because we didn't engage nav mode, it was on the wrong leg here, according to where we were against the flight plan. So we've just forced it in the right direction. Let's go and spin the heading mode heading around as well, so we get that the same sort of direction we're going. It says VOR fail because we haven't actually used the nav radios at all. So let's go and program something in for them to look at. We'll get rid of that VOR from over there. So let's go and program it for, of course this is America, half of them are Vortec and not VORs, which will not work with all radio systems. DJB is though. 11360. We'll just give it something to look at so it doesn't say VOR fail all the time. So what was it again? 11360. And it's lit up. Hurrah! You can see that's spun around and it's telling us we are 68 miles away from it. Well, that was eventful. I'm just trying to remember. I did quite a bit of testing with the MD-82 when it first came out and found ways of combating it, doing crazy things with the climb profile. I can't remember how I solved it at all. I think it kind of relates to the gyros for the autopilot not being lined up with the aircraft. So how are we doing on the... It's doing VNAV. So let's have a look at the restrictions it's got in. So above 4,000. It's holding at 7, but it hasn't actually begun to climb, so we may as well just disregard any of this now and go straight for our cruise level. If we say pull this, will it climb for us? Apparently not. You say VNAV again. It is going to do it this time. Okay, so it wouldn't... I saw this earlier with it actually. It wasn't always respecting the VNAV profile. So as soon as you got out of a restriction, you had to intervene, so it wasn't fully automatic. So it's... Again, it's just something to know about the way it behaves. So we can climb to our cruise altitude now. Okay, so when we get to 10,000, we'll turn the landing lights off. Shouldn't take too long, we're climbing at over 2,000 feet a minute. Yeah, I'm just looking at this. Michael DeCero has said he's completed lots of flights in the MD-80, never seen the autopilot differential thrust before. It's very odd, isn't it? I'm wondering if there's something else going on here. It's very, very odd. I've never seen it do it before either. And we've got no warnings. We've just got a centre fuel pressure low because we didn't have much in the centre tanks. Yeah, so centre tanks are now run out, so we can go and turn the centre pumps off. So we've got no warnings at all. It's just really, really odd that on the climb out they were all over the place. So we're just coming up to 10,000 feet, so the landing lights can all go off. The next point of interest for us is, oh, we're on 2992 already. We didn't even set the altitude calibration. I must have missed that while we were talking about stuff. So I don't have to calibrate because I wasn't at the correct. That could have been what caused it. I wonder, because I hadn't calibrated the altimeter, would that have thrown the autopilot out? Because I did program it into the calculations, didn't I? Maybe that was it. Hi Ellie, just seen you in the live stream chat. But yeah, I may go and do some circuits or some, just practice takeoffs just to see what causes that nose dumping. I remember seeing it previously, and there was something you had to do around getting things trimmed before you engaged autopilot to prevent it kind of deviating. It may have even been the speed profile at the time. Let's go and have a look then. So we're pretty much following the plan now. That was our massive deviation off of the takeoff where we didn't have lateral navigation switched on. Now we're flying out towards Bari. But Navigraph still doesn't understand what we're doing, which is quite amusing really. So we need to remove Syncar from our plan, don't we? And we need to change this so this is the what we saw earlier, wasn't it, that it made no sense. So if we go and have another look in here, it was Bari 2, but it had, yeah, it's always choosing the Syncar transition. If we edit it, the transition, we don't want a transition. Can we choose no transition? I don't think we can. There's no BSV transition, obviously, because we're not using the airways properly. That may be what's throwing it. So we don't actually get the option in Navigraph to choose no transition by the look of it, which is a bit odd. Anyway. We'll just carry on regardless. But the root cause of all of this was not updating the database on the MD-82 before we took off, or before I booted the sim. I should have gone into the Navigraph data manager and updated it, because I updated the MD-82 this morning. with the latest version, and I forgot to go into Navigraph and replace its database, so its AIRAC is massively out of date. Just to show you that, I think I can show you this while it's running without doing too much damage. If we go to the FMS data manager, I think it's in the older program, we'll say yes, you can run, and it will pop up with a bit of luck. It's running in the background for some bizarre reason. Okay, it's not this one, it's the other one. Navigraph Data Center. So in the external, there we go, Fly the Mad Dog has got the update. I'm not going to do it while it's running, obviously, because it'll bust it. How are we doing on the route anyway? So we just need to be aware that we are above 15, below 18,000 feet at the beginning of the standard approach route into Washington. But that's quite some time away yet. So we're just coming up towards 18,000 feet. We're already on 2992 on the barometric pressure, so there's nothing actually to do now. We could go and have a look now at the leading edge slats. We could have done that earlier, to be honest.
Slats retracted.
And go and speed up. So we'll go and push the aircraft out. It's doing it itself, look. It's set the target airspeed out now to 300 knots. Now the slats are retracted. And we're coming up to that turn at Bury. Somebody's obviously flying along in the fastest Mooney ever seen. And don't ask me what a Scandinavian Airlines MD-82 is flying over the US for, because I don't have an answer for you. So the reason it's so quiet, somebody commented, the reason it is so quiet in the flight deck is the MD-82 is famous for that. Because look how far away the engines are from the pilots. You have to remember, on a 727 or 737, anything like that, sorry, 737, the wings are a lot further forward, and the engines obviously are slung underneath the wings, so a lot closer to the cockpit. Plus the MD-82 is quite long, as well as the engines being at the other end. So if we go and wander down the galley, you'll probably be able to hear them. I don't know if we can go faster, can we? No. Well, what about controlling? No, that doesn't work either. Damn. Let's go and try that walk again. So when we get down the other end, you'll probably be able to hear the engines. Or at least I hope you will. Maybe they haven't modelled it. Don't think they've modelled it, have they? Obviously if we can go outside then we could be able to hear it, but that's a shame. This always used to make me laugh. This is the rear door, and in the X-Plane version of this you could open it while you were in flight and walk down the steps and you'd be out, you know, like on the back of a Hercules. Obviously it's not modelled. I don't think it is anyway. If we just, can we push through the wall? Yeah, so there the steps are. I think we can open it from the cockpit maybe. I don't think the handles work in the model inside the aircraft. Anyway, if we go and jump back in, we're turning at the moment, so we're making that turn, yeah, to get towards the Briggs VOR. So the aeroplane understands what it's doing now. It was just our climb out was a bit more eventful than it should have been. So it's just turning back onto the track. It's not doing a very good job either at it, is it? It's weaving onto the track. Shall we play with the tablet while we're waiting for the climb? Let's just have a check of the altitude.
Traffic.
Interesting. Of course, that's that little aeroplane that was near us. Oh no, it could be. No, it's going to be 5 miles away, whatever it is. Maybe it is that. Maybe it was that one. There's a lot of aeroplanes going backwards and forwards, isn't there? There's a lot of contrails around. Okay, so let's get this heading bug moved round so the arrow's not annoying us. Let's go and increase the range on this so we can see the route ahead. So let's have a look at the route in. So flight level 180 for Keyman. Well, sorry, above flight level 180, I think that's saying. Yeah, because in here, look, it wants us at flight level 290, then 240, or between 24 and 21, then 180 and 1500, 15,000, sorry, at Eagle, 15 or above 15,000 at Shep, below 13, above 12 at Eagle. Yeah, so it's fairly straightforward. Down to 7,000 feet at Flag, 4,000 for Stars, and then we come in on the approach, which will look like nothing we've got a diagram for. Seriously, is Navigraph not picked it up for us? So let's go and have a look at the charts available for approach. ILS runway 10. Pin it, please. Thank you very much. That's better. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. So you'll notice the way this works, that the standard approach route turns us back away from the airport and then it's vectors to come back towards column. So we do the left turn, our own navigation basically. Okay, we're within 1,000 feet of our target altitude, so we can go back to cruise mode on the engines now. So just looking back at the plan then, we're zooming along towards the BSV VOR. Let's pull up the approach route just so we can see. So we need to be at flight level 290 for Bubby basically. That's the beginning of the concerns for us. The levels we were looking at there were to do with the holds, which we don't obviously need to concern ourselves with. So we're going to come in. Oh, sorry, Lundy was 290. So Bubby is 180. Okay. This doesn't line up with the chart. It's the first time I've seen that happen. Either that was just a huge mess. How strange. Maybe that's the... Oh, have we got the wrong chart? Is that what's going on? Is Navigraph picked the wrong one out for us? Let's go and have a look at the approach... The stars, sorry. So, Anthem 3 RNAV. No, it's just the correct one. It's just that it doesn't match up, basically. Anyway, just reading this and taking no notice of the diagram here, because it's saying Bubby is here. Maybe this is to do... No, I think it's just wrong, basically. So we'll go for flight level 180 at Bubby. Okay, just to kind of make some sense to ourselves. We've got a way to go until we get there, though. And you can see some restrictions have come in from the database anyway. So yeah, between 180 and 15,000, which is what we said at Bubby. It's just the diagram made no sense. The layout was a bit screwy. So we've got 130 miles to go until we get to... Oh, sorry, no, 270 miles to go. So nothing to worry about just yet. 180 miles even. And it's beginning a correctional turn by the look of it. We were going to have a look at this, weren't we? So what do we get? Some documents on the aircraft, so normal checklists, things like that, which is quite cool. And we get aircraft services. Obviously we're going to be doing no maintenance while it's in the air, but you obviously saw the performance calculator for takeoff. You could do the same thing for landing. We're not going to bother. You saw the weight and balance section, which I usually leave this on the screen because it's a good reference. So it shows you where the limits are in terms of the flight envelope. Okay. Should we have a look on the progress page, which will give us our timings and distance to go. So 9 miles to go to BSV, 60 to NUSMM. Can we go next page on this? No, it doesn't really show us too much that's worth knowing. Artix says, this is one of my favourite tube liners, really fun to fly. Yeah, it takes a bit of practice though. I need to go back and have a look at doing some takeoffs with it to see about the point where you engage autopilot to get it to seamlessly do it without it suddenly snatching away from you. I used to know how to do it and now I can't remember for the life of me. I have a feeling you have to just trim the aircraft out and make sure you've let go of the joystick. And as long as you are trimmed when you engage autopilot, it won't misbehave. I think you can pre-select the nav modes as well before you do it. But in any case, Artie says, did it pull down on you after engaging the autopilot? Yes, it did, and I can't remember. It's so long since I've flown it, I can't remember how you combat that. You had to do something, and I can't remember what it was. It's kind of a... It's been so long. I used to be able to fly it like, you know, like clockwork. And now I can't remember some of the details about it. That's the problem of flying so many different things in Flight Simulator, I guess. So Black Star's asking about the Salty 747. I could go back to it. I don't know if it's been updated recently. I have been thinking about doing a live stream transatlantic crossing or something, like leave it running all day, but I'd have to time it with work, so maybe take off at lunchtime to be landing at 10 o'clock that night maybe. So Artix is saying, what I do to avoid that is engage V-speed mode. Yes, this is what I was just thinking about, going to V-speed mode and then switching over. I did wonder if you just have to let it stabilize for a while as well before you engage anything, to allow the gyros in the autopilot to kind of stabilize. Kind of knowing that the autopilot uses gyros, so yeah, I'll do some testing with it. But I remember, yeah, using the V-speed in the past, and if you can get it into the window before you engage, and you can pre-select it like you say, it would allow the autopilot gyros to stabilize on what they're going to be doing before you engage it. Okay, so we're about to make the turn, and it looks like it's made a bit of a hash. Or what is this, a rendering error, or have we got an issue in the flight plan? I think that's like a tangent type rendering error. Let's see if we zoom out a bit further, see if it goes out forever. Yeah, it does. So let's just check through, because when we look on the legs page, this has got the standard approach route. If we, what we could do to check it, I guess, is use the step function just to go through and see where that line goes, and I bet it doesn't go anywhere. If we zoom in, so we're just watching where this is. So hoist vectors to column. Ah, could it be that that's doing it? So if we pull column over the top of the vectors, because that's effectively like a discontinuity, yeah, that was the cause. That makes sense. So between hoist and column, are there any waypoints we might insert to make the corner a bit neater? Maybe go to Clory? Of course this won't let us do it because it's in the middle of the plan. Let's see if the actual aeroplane will let us do it though. CLORY, and we'll put it in front of column, and it will let us do it. So we can execute that, and you can see now we've fixed that to an extent. Ideally I guess we would want a bit slower speed to make that corner. So 180/2822 is it saying for the height, and that should affect. It's doing some strange stuff to it, but we'll leave it alone. It's having a job rendering the curves, isn't it? I mean, in reality, it's only a couple of miles, but you get the idea. So what we can do here is just draw it, because it won't let us actually make that on the chart. Okay, whereabouts are we? So we're just coming in on the road down to Bubby, so we need to start descending back to 18,000 feet ideally. Shall we use vertical speed to do this time? Might be a bit more fun, mightn't it? So we'll go vertical speed mode, and we descend at 1,500 a minute for the moment. Where's the mode for this to show the... That would be the best version, wouldn't it, for the moment? And increase the range. Oh, I keep doing that. There we go. So you can see the green banana has appeared, so we can manage our descent, to be honest. So coming down at 1,200 feet a minute, we should get to the appropriate height when we get to Bubby, which is good. So Racy is asking, John, interested to see or hear what processor and graphics card you're using. It's a i7 3.6 gigahertz, and it's a NVIDIA 3080 RTX. If we pull up the task manager, you'll get to see, or hopefully, if it lets me open it, you can see the performance graphs. So CPU is doing almost nothing. GPU is running about, well, it's not doing much at all at the moment, is it? Because we're just at high altitude, there's nothing much to draw. But yeah, it's hardly being stressed at all. I am running, though, clipped at 30 frames a second, which is obviously, it's easily managing to do that. It's running in Ultra, by the way, the simulator. So yeah, it's not really being pushed at all. The CPU's spiking now and again, but that's probably me flicking between programs, to be honest. What other things that are running in the background, because we've got Navigraph, Little Nav Map, OBS is streaming obviously, and Task Manager itself. So yeah, it's easily handling it. I've only got 16 gig of RAM, and obviously you can see it doesn't need it. Even with running all this stuff, Flight Sim doesn't actually consume that much RAM. So people with 32 gig, it really isn't needed. The GPU RAM tends to get a bit more hammered if you've got lots of third-party aircraft installed and you're letting them be rendered. But again, it doesn't affect it that badly. So the graphics card, you can see, has got 10 gigabytes of RAM available to it, and it's using 8 at the moment. Wi-Fi, I've got 500 megabit synchronous, is fibre to the house, so almost no latency whatsoever, and you can see it's hardly pushing it. Obviously there's nothing for it to fetch at the moment, really. So yeah, it's peaking now and again at 30 megabits per second on the requests for scenery, I guess. But obviously, yeah, the network connection it's on can handle 500, which is 10 times or almost 20 times what's being listed there. That does mean we get to see, I mean, this part of the US isn't really that detailed, is it? But it does mean we get to see the draw distance quite a long way in Ultra. I don't fiddle with the graphic settings. I tend to leave everything on factory defaults. It's interesting reading comments though about going to an Xbox Series X or going from that to a PC, because how much is an Xbox Series X now? It's probably what, 500, 600? An equivalent PC is going to cost 3 times that. So Black Star's saying, what else do you play? I don't really. So yeah, I don't really play anything else. I did, for a bit of fun, ages ago, Steam had an offer with the Formula 1 game when Formula 1 2020 was out. I bought it on offer and ran it and turned the graphics up absolutely to maximum and took the VSync away to see how fast it would run. And it was running at 300 frames a second. So yeah, it's quite powerful. I don't understand people though going after frame rate. I really don't. If you get anywhere from kind of 30 frames a second upwards, there's no point chasing it any further than that. So I've always had this VSync locked at 30 frames a second. The monitor I've got here, I'm running it on a 4K monitor locally, and I downrate it to 1080p for transmission out to the internet, or for recording into videos. I can't see any point going higher than 1080p. Well, certainly not at the moment. It's good enough. So how are we doing on the descent? We're starting to get into the realm where we need to start keeping an eye on it. Approaching Bubby, and if we go and have a look at that chart then. So at Bubby, we'll look at the markers, but well, it was on the it was on here, wasn't it? So if we look on the progress page, did that give us? No, only the legs page gives you the restrictions. So at Bubby we need to be between 18,000 and 15,000 and doing 280 knots. So at the moment we're doing 255. So we're going slower than we need to, which is fine. Gives us time to talk, doesn't it? Let's go and zoom in a little bit on the map over here so we can actually see things coming now. So for Shep we need to be 15,000, so we'll actually aim for 16,000 rather than 18, which means we're going to need to come down a little bit more steeply to be in the right ballpark. It's funny, I know we could engage VNAV mode and let the aeroplane fly itself down, but vertical speed mode gives you something to do and something to think about. And quite often I fly with air traffic controllers if I'm doing this sort of flight, and they might give you specific instructions that don't follow the route. So, you know, having things programmed is going to do you no good at all anyway, because you're going to go to vectors and you'll be following instruction. Because you might get conflicts, or you might be given a hold to be going flying off towards. So yeah, Racy is saying exactly my dilemma. The Xbox Series X is 500. Experience was hit and miss to start with, but more recently it's been great. I think the upcoming update with WASM should improve that. To upgrade to a PC will cost lots, take up more room, as well as need desk monitor, etc. And just not sure if it's worth it. So a monitor is going to cost you a couple of hundred for a 4K monitor. That's about 28 inches. Keyboard's going to cost £10. I've got the most basic Logitech K120 wired keyboard. There is no point having anything more clever than that. I actually work as a software developer, and that keyboard sees me through thick and thin. I've bought so many of those K120 keyboards from Logitech. It's a very standard layout. I've got a very basic, like £5 Logitech mouse. Again, can't see any point of any of these gamer mice. I think that's just people see each other coming and rip each other off. So let's go and have a look outside. Apparently somebody's behind us. Oh yeah, there we go. So Sage Press is saying he ended up spending 15 grand on their setup. What on earth have you got? Although if you're anything like my dad, you've got half a cockpit on your desk. I'll be going down to visit him soon. I'll take some pictures. He's got a load of the dials and gauges and levers and stuff on his desk. He's got a replica 737 quadrant and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we're coming down towards 18,000. We need to go and check actually what the QNH is at the destination. So let's go back to our flight plan page. I never think to do this on Navigraph. It's just force of habit to use other ways of doing it. So if we look on the weather page for KBWI, we can find out everything we need to know. So 3035, so it's given us in inches, or if we look here, 1027 in hectopascals. So when we come down to 18,000 and we switch over the barometric pressure, we need to go to 1027 on the calibration of the altimeter, ready for the destination airfield. So the nicest thing about the Xbox Series X is flying on a large TV in 4K, although it could do the same with a PC. Yeah, you can. You tend to find the PC monitors that are 4K are much, much finer dot pitch than TVs, which you don't really notice until you put, you know, Windows on them with smaller text, and then it shows up like a sore thumb if you've got it on a TV versus a monitor. So, Sagebrush, you've got the 3090, 8 terabytes of storage, 128 gigs of RAM. That's a lot of RAM. What on earth do you need that for? Alienware, OLED, ultra wide. Okay, so you've got a widescreen. I can't see the point of widescreens myself, because as soon as you roll the aeroplane, you've lost your vertical view. It just seems a bit like you're looking through a letterbox. We need to go and change the barometric pressure now, don't we? So what did we say? 1027. Okay, that's that one done. And then this one is again 1027. I think this one is synchronized with this one. That looks good. So we've got that target altitude of 16,000 feet. Remember, let's go and zoom in a bit further on this now. Now we're getting into the real crunch part of the route. So we'll be moving on to Steph very soon, as soon as we cross Bubby. When we get to Steph, we want to go to 15,000 feet, so the V-speed should zero out when we get to 16,000. Let's see if it does it. There it goes. It's winding off now. So we'll go for 15,000 now and increase that down again. 1,000 feet a minute, which will get us to the correct altitude for Steph, which is 15,000 feet. We need to be doing 280 knots. We're not doing 280, we're doing 255, which is fine. Actually, just so we don't have to worry about this later, let's wind that back. So this is, we'll put it in speed mode now. So it's doing lateral navigation for us. Okay, any more comments? Sagebrush, is there any other aircraft coming out that have your interest? Oh, I'm waiting for the is it the Fokker Friendship that's coming out from Just Flight? I think loads of people are waiting for it. Hopefully it's going to be good. So Gulf Coast Tim is saying there's been some gaming laptops coming out that can run flight sim. Yeah, but it's going to cook the laptop, isn't it? You know, no matter how powerful they are, it's going to cook them. I think I'd rather have a PC, because you sit down with stuff around you to play flight sim. Playing on a laptop would just be odd. I mean, I've got the Airbus quadrant here and the joystick. I don't know where I'd put them. I've got a Stream Deck as well, which I hardly use, to be honest. It's a lovely thing to have, but I haven't really taken advantage of it because I tend to use the buttons in the cockpit, so I use it more for Windows than for anything in a video game. It's useful in DCS though, the Stream Deck, for the weapon systems. Yeah, the ATR will be good when it comes out. Okay, how are we doing? I ought to keep on top of this, didn't I? So we're on our way to Eagle now. This hasn't kept up, has it? I'm sure I executed it before. So we need to be descending in a hurry. We're a little bit high. So Anthem, we need to be 11,000. This is calculated height, obviously. 11,500 for Anthem. So here we go. It's calculating now and doing it. We'll go 11. I can't remember how to set the hundreds on this. So when we go past the next bit, we go for rocket. We need to do 250 knots at rocket and then flag 240 knots. So we're dropping 10 knots. And we're dropping a lot of height all of a sudden then. So we're going for below 7,000 feet, above 6,000. So we'll aim for 6,000 feet at flag. We also need to start thinking about the ILS frequencies for the airport. So let's go and have a quick look. ILS for runway 10 was 105 degrees, 109.7. So we'll change this over to 109.7. We'll do it as well on this side, 109.7. What was the angle again? 105 degrees. So course should be 1. Oh, it jumps around, doesn't it? Oh, the sim has frozen. Give it a chance and it will release itself. There's something odd about this motherboard. It's very, very odd. It resets the USB devices when it does it. The power management is completely disabled before anybody mentions it. So it is not power management causing it. Okay, so that's all configured. So rocket, we need to be 250 knots, 11,000 feet. So we've gone and targeted 11,000. We're on our way down to 11,000, which is good. We haven't quite got to Anthem yet, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule. Okay, so now we are coming down towards 10,000 feet. We are going to be putting the landing lights on soon as well. We probably need some lights on around the cockpit. It's getting dark, isn't it? I've forgotten about it getting dark. Is there a dome light in this thing? Should we have a look overhead just briefly? Where are the light controls for the dome lights, things like that? Lighting, air conditioning. Overhead console. There's the floodlight for it. There's the panel backlighting, which is good. I can't remember. Is there a dome? How do you turn the dome lights on? I can't remember. Floor lighting. I can never remember where everything is. It's so long since I've flown it. So a quick look over here. What was that for? That's not the. That's the auto brake. Everything's a bit random in the Mad Dog, isn't it? What was that one? That's the backlighting for that. To be honest, that's probably enough for what we're doing. Okay, let's go and focus on what we're on the job in hand again. So for flag, we need to be down to 7,000. So drop this to 7 and engage that, and then go vertical speed. $1,600 feet a minute should do it. Let's go and reduce the range on this so we can see it. That isn't quite enough. It's because we were busy playing around with lights, wasn't it? Sorry, 18,000. We'll put the spoilers out to stop ourselves from accelerating. We needed to drop some speed as well, didn't we, for flag? 240 knots. And we're below 10,000, or just coming up to it, so we want to go and get the lights out, the landing lights. It's going to be a dark landing, isn't it? Should we have a look outside? Yeah, the sun's already gone down probably. So stars will be the next target at 4,000 feet. Right overhead panel is the thunderstorm lights. Rain. Cabin temperature, cockpit, air conditioning, attendant. Thunderstorm lights. There we go. Cockpit floor on. Oh, there we go. Cockpit flood, sorry. There we go. Flood. That's what I was looking for. It's probably a bit too bright though, isn't it? Having configured everything quite nicely for the dark. So we're just passing flag and we're now on to stars, and we need to go for 4,000 feet now. Continue on down 18,000 feet a minute. Sorry, 1,800 feet a minute, not 1,000. That'll be a meteorite. We're still looking for 240 knots. I'm going to slow down slower than it is saying because I don't agree. I want to give us more time to think. So let's come down to 210 knots. Although we have got this S-bend to do, I guess. Yeah, so maybe I'm panicking over nothing. So then we hold at 4,000 feet until we're past straps. So just keep an eye on that. You can see the route playing out now. There's the airfield, so we should be able to see it. Eh? That's it over there, isn't it? Possibly. Or is it further over here? There it is. That's one of the runways. Okay. I might go and turn that flood back off, you know. Or just turn it down a bit. Okay. So still holding at 4,000 feet, but we're slowing down to 210 knots now. So yeah, the speed is now coming off. I'm going to take the spoilers back out. We don't probably need them. They're saying that, waiting for the engines to come back to let us decelerate. We're going to end up being too fast, but we've got a lot of room yet to make these manoeuvres. So we're holding 210 knots for a little while, then we go to Clory for 180, but we're holding 4,002 straps, 3,700-ish through Bravey, so we'll get ready with that one. Yeah, we can't because we can't do hundreds easily. So we'll just hold it 4,000 for the moment. The next major target, which is not a calculated one, is above 2,500 for column, which is after we make the turn. So we'll go for 2,500 at column. Oh, we can't. I need to fix this. How do we set hundreds on the altimeter? Does anybody know? Because this is madness. So what I'm going to do is just set it for 3,000 for the moment. And let us come down at 500 a minute. Can we, if we reduce the range on this now so we can see this a bit more clearly. So we're slowly descending. We should pick up the ILS when we make the turn. Hit the tab button. Well, there's a trick to it, is there? Oh yes. Great tip. Didn't know that. So we're going to come down to 2,500 feet as we make the turn. Let's come down a bit more then. Because what we're looking to do is arrive at column at the right point to engage the localizer and the glide slope. So let's just go and double check those numbers. 109.7. So you can see we're just over here, and we're going to turn back around and come back towards column. It's obviously not drawn on the chart. Yeah, just reading the conversation there about the more modern aircraft. I don't know. I really like the old ones because you get more to do. I think it's more fun if you've got more things to get on with. So this has made a real hash of doing the turn. So what I might do is take over now and fly the rest myself. So auto throttle off, autopilot off. And it's giving us the warnings that they are switched off. I'm not sure how we cancel those, so we'll just ignore them. Okay, so we're going to nose up and slow down a bit. Yeah, we've gone a bit low, so we're just coming back up. Trading some height. the moment. Did I turn the auto throttle off? Thought I did, yes. No? Yeah, I did. So we're around about 2,500 and something feet, which is fine. I think we can probably see the runway out there directly in front of us. It's quite a way out yet. Let's just climb a little bit. And we can start managing speed now and decelerate down, get the flaps down. So first stage of flaps.
Slats extended.
We can go for undercarriage now.
Gear down. 3 green.
I'm just trimming it so I don't have to hold too much backstick. Now we've got the drag from the undercarriage underneath. So turning left a tiny amount. Let's get this switched over to landing system mode.
Flaps 15. Flaps 28.
Just trying to get this into some sort of equilibrium before we start manoeuvring for the runway.
2,500.
Okay, here comes the glide slope. So what we're looking at here, if I just, is this bracket. You can see it both on here and here actually. So we're slightly off to the left of the localizer and we're just below the glide slope but flying in towards it. How do we shut the altitude warning up? Like that. Okay, so here comes the glide slope. There's a reset button here, isn't there? Will that not make that go away? That's annoying. Okay, we'll decelerate further. Going a bit low.
Flaps 40.
Sorry if I'm not reading comments at the moment, I'm kind of concentrating. We're off to the left. Let's just go and fix that. Pretty much on the glide slope, which is good. It's not too windy, which is nice. There's a bit of a crosswind, but it's not too strong. Actually, it's spun round a little bit of a tailwind, but nothing that's going to affect us too badly. an hour ago it would have been a headwind. It's just turned around a little bit. So we got a few knots worth of tailwind. Getting a bit low, just pulling it back up onto the glide slope. Pretty much on the centre line. Speed is looking good.
400.
Getting low. Starting to light the ground up now.
300. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, so reverses.
2 in reverse.
And wheel brakes.
Reverse lights out.
We're not going to make this
60 knots.
turn, and there goes an AI plane straight through us. Flaps up, and just roll for the next exit. Going to hit all of the AI planes on the way back. Okay, so landing lights can come back off. The strobes can go to solid. The APU can go to on, which I can't remember where it is now, and we're looking away from where we're going, which is not a great idea. So APU goes to, that was the wrong button. Just going to very briefly do this. Can't see it from where I was. APU start, and back to run. Idea being that by the time we park up, we will have auxiliary power. Oh, should we slow down and see if we can make this turn here? It's a bit difficult to navigate in the dark, isn't it? Let's go straight across here for the terminals. Have you got any options in this aeroplane for tail lights or anything like that? It'll be over here, won't it? If it is anywhere. Floodlights, wing lights on. There we go, we should be lit up a little bit better now. Okay, they do want this in the middle of this then. Okay. Can't see it in the dark. I haven't got a diagram in front of me, so we're winging it. Okay, parking brake is on. APU is running. It's up there. So we should be able to cross-feed over to the APU and then close the engines down. So now, earlier on when I was messing around with this, I couldn't remember how you switch the starters off. Oh, there we go. We just use the mouse wheel on them. Easy when you know how, isn't it? And obviously that crossfeed has just happened, look, to the APU. So then we can obviously, if we're going to do this properly, we could go back around the cockpit, reversing our switch positions back to the hangared conditions. Right, so I can go back and look at the comments now. So, am I flying offline? No, I'm on the East USA. Sorry, I think I was on. I tend to change all the time, different servers. If I'm doing a group flight, I usually use Southeast Asia. But historically, it used to be one of the better servers because it wasn't so busy. But I don't think that's really true anymore. I think you can choose any multiplayer server. Michael Stark is quite right. The MD-82 is one of the most expensive aircraft in the game. It was about $80. But it is very, very detailed and it's great fun. So Alpha Indigo is parked beside me. Michael Stark says SCA has terrible ping. Yeah. BAE 146. Yeah, I love the BAE 146. Again, it's a bit like this, that there's lots to do. I like the I've been messing around with the Banderanti, the little twin turboprop thing. That's great fun. The sound is terrible in it, but the actual aeroplane behaves itself and there's lots to do in the cockpit again, so it gives you stuff to do. So yeah, I'll always go and pick the planes that have lots to fiddle with along the way. Obviously, it takes lots of practice, which I haven't got with this at the moment, to operate them in a, you know, a nice, stable manner. But it's good fun. Yeah, to operate them properly is a whole different ball game. Anyway, I am going to log off there and I'll see you all again soon. That was good fun.